Now on Coast TV News.
Hurricane Erin's impact on the coast.
We're on alert. Erin is coming.
How dangerous rip currents could be coming to Delmarva. Parking enforcement officer assaulted. What Bethany Beach police say happened to the 70-year-old. Zelensky and Trump meeting in Washington in less than 24 hours.
We are deciding what we are going to discuss in Washington.
What U.S. officials are saying ahead of the meeting.
Tracking a big cool down to start the week and the latest on what Hurricane Erin will mean for Delmarva later in the week.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Good Sunday evening. I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight with a 70-year-old parking enforcement officer in the hospital. Bethany Beach police say a man is now facing felony charges after assaulting a parking enforcement officer yesterday. Officers say 24-year-old Eric Pelusa of Maryland attacked a 70-year-old parking officer who was writing him a ticket. Police say Pelusa also attacked the officer, threw him to the ground, and then threw the officer's tablet at him and even put his foot on the officer's throat. He was stopped and arrested a short time later, and the victim is being treated at a nearby hospital. And we have the full story right now on CoastTVNews.com. The dangerous Hurricane Erin is expected to bring this week, and future waves could lead to stronger rip currents. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Sapay shows us what you can do if you find yourself stuck in the current.
As the waves crash hard, families are enjoying their vacation in Ocean City. But local John Simcox is getting ready for Hurricane Erin.
We're on alert. Erin is coming, but she's going to be offshore. So we're going to have big waves. We're going to have a lot of rip current.
And Simcox not the only one. According to the Ocean City Beach Patrol Lieutenant Mike Stone, the incoming hurricane could lead to more dangers when it comes to the rip current.
When you have a break in the sandbar, that water is sort of exiting, heading back out, and it makes people feel like they're being either pulled under or pulled away from the beach.
So what happens if you get stuck in the current? According to the Ocean City Beach Patrol, swim even with the shoreline until the current weakens, then swim to the shore. If that doesn't work, float or tread water and call or wave for a nearby lifeguard.
We always encourage people to swim only when lifeguards are on duty, whether you're at the beach or at a pool. We're on duty from 10 to 5:30.
According to Lieutenant Stone, rough waves could develop here along the Ocean City Beach next week, and the Ocean City Beach Patrol will be keeping an eye out on the conditions daily. I'm Kevin Zapay in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
The time is now 11:03 on this Sunday night. We're going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono and look into Salisbury. And Chris, so far the weather's been kind of normal for what we expected this time of the year, but this week it's going to heat up.
Yeah, we had just a good old-fashioned summer weekend here on Delmarva. We had temperatures in the 80s yesterday. Today we hit 90. Well, now we have the latest advisory just fresh off the presses from the National Hurricane Center. You see, if you watched us at 6, you saw that eye wall kind of closed up. Well, the hurricane underwent an eye wall replacement cycle, so it's re-intensified back into a Category 4 hurricane. You can see that eye pretty visible in that last frame. We now have winds of 130 miles an hour sustained, gusting upwards of 160 miles an hour and beginning to move at a northwest fashion. So this is going to lift northward, stay as a Category 4 hurricane through tomorrow, then weaken as a Category 3, and then as it makes it up to just parallel to the Outer Banks, it's going to split the East Coast and Bermuda, and then it's going to kind of push off to the northeast. What that's going to produce is dangerous, life-threatening rip currents and surf along the eastern seaboard and right here on Delmarva. Temperatures today, 90 degrees in Georgetown, so it was a hot one out there. We had plenty of sunshine. Now we're dealing with some rain ahead of this cold front. Some moderate rainfall pushing through Milford, Milton, down through Rehoboth Beach. The heaviest cell right now pushing through Smith Island. Thunderstorm there kind of split the area. Salisbury and southern Sussex County not getting any rain there, but we are going to see that cold front push through the area tonight. And that front's going to kind of stall out to our south. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of cloud cover tomorrow, really for the next 2 days, and very cool conditions. And we're going to see some isolated shower chances over the next 3. And then we're going to talk about the latest on Erin and what it means for us here on Delmarva mid to later on in the week. We'll talk more about that coming up in the full 7-day forecast. Brandon.
Thank you, Chris. Now to national politics. Leaders are on their way to Washington as we speak. to push for peace in Ukraine. Just hours from now, President Trump is set to meet with Ukrainian President after Friday's summit with Russia, and now multiple key European heads of state are heading to the White House. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard shows us the latest.
Tonight, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky returning to the White House for his pivotal meeting tomorrow with President Trump. Zelensky will come flanked in solidarity by European leaders, the UK and Italian prime ministers, the presidents of France and Finland, the German chancellor, and the heads of both NATO and the European Commission.
Ukraine can always count on Europe.
Zelensky in Brussels today.
We are deciding what we are going to discuss in Washington.
Hoping for a different outcome than his last visit to the Oval Office in February.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
You don't have the cards.
The White House still trying to mediate an end to Russia's war. After Trump's stately fanfare and sit-down with Putin Friday, his negotiators largely tight-lipped about the details.
Can you name one thing that President Trump is asking Russia to give up in order to get peace?
Well, I'm not going to disclose those things.
Secretary Rubio also pushing back on suggestions that the White House will try to pressure Zelensky to cede some land.
No one's pushing Ukraine to give that up.
But shortly after that interview, Trump contradicting that, reposting on Truth Social one user's statement, Ukraine must be willing to lose some territory to Russia. Otherwise, the longer the war goes on, they will keep losing even more land. Former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan rejecting assertions that Russia is militarily winning.
Russia right now is trying to achieve diplomatically what they cannot achieve militarily.
And in a pivot, Trump, earlier this year, not committing to future security protections for Ukraine as part of any deal.
I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that.
Today, though, his special envoy, Steve Witkoff.
We agreed to robust security guarantees that I would describe as game-changing.
Back here on Delmarva, Ocean City Fire Department says today, just after 4 p.m., a pedestrian was hit by a car on Waterview Drive, resulting in an aviation response. And all we know now is that the person was transported to a local trauma center, and the current medical condition still has not yet been released by OCFD. Yesterday afternoon, the Lewis Fire Department was called to a shed fire on Will King Road. When crews arrived, they found heavy fire throughout the detached structure. Firefighters from Milton and Rehoboth Beach stations also assisted, and the fire was contained to the garage, preventing it from spreading to an adjacent home. And firefighters were also busy in Millville. Let's take a look at this response to a gas leak at the Giant supermarket. Crews found an underground propane tank had been dislodged, releasing a large amount of gas. Firefighters used hoses and monitors to safely redirect the venting propane away from the store and into nearby woods. The gas company later determined the tank was damaged with no way to shut it off. Crews continued to redirect the flow until the 1,000-gallon tank was empty. The Delaware Public Archives has launched a new way to explore history. A new Delaware historical markers map is now live right now on their website. The tool lets you browse every official marker to learn more about each site and even filters by themes like Black history, Native American heritage, women's history, and more. Whether you're planning a road trip or just curious about Delaware's past, the map makes it easy to discover the stories that shaped the first state. You can find it at archives.delaware.gov. A beloved playground in Lewis is raising safety concerns. Parents say the Canal Front Park playground is just too close to the water and should have a fence. Those parents warn that without a barrier, children could easily run from the play area to the water in seconds, turning a day of fun into tragedy. Supporters are now urging city officials to act with a petition set to be presented at the next Parks and Recreation meeting tomorrow. Advocates point to CDC data showing drowning is one of the leading causes of accidental death for children, especially toddlers. After some delays, a project to overhaul a road in Salisbury is set to begin later this month. City officials say roadwork is planned on Carroll Street between Route 13 to Circle Road. That's beginning tomorrow. They say once completed, there will be 2 vehicle lanes in each direction and designated bike lanes, which will be separated from vehicle traffic. Pedestrian crossings are also expected to be upgraded with high visibility markings. Drivers should expect delays until its completion on the 22nd. The Milton Theater is moving forward with Phase 2 of its expansion to support youth programs and improve audience experience. The Milton Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on this project this Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. The expansion will add classroom and rehearsal space and also increase parking. Theater officials say the extra space will ensure that no child is turned away from the popular education programs, which are often sold out. And we covered the original proposal all the way back in May. To see a full rendered image of what the new addition will look like, you can visit CoastTV.com, and when you're on the website, you can search Milton Theater. Coming up tomorrow morning on Coast TV News, tune in for a new recycling program underway on a Lewis beach.
Well, if you're tired of the heat, your wishes come true. We're going to see temperatures struggle to get out of the 70s over the next 2 days. A lot of clouds and some spotty showers. And the latest on what Hurricane Erin is going to bring to the Delmarva coast coming up.
New weekend toll rates, drivers paying more in the first state, but Delaware says it will help the roads. But first, 2 American tourists die hours apart at a brand new Carnival Cruises resort. What we're learning about the tragedy is next. Tonight, we're learning more about 2 American tourists who died within just a few hours of each other at a brand new resort destination owned by Carnival Cruises. Jesse Kirsch shows us what is behind these tragedies.
The Royal Bahamas police say the 2 Americans, both in their 70s, died within hours of each other at this private Carnival Cruise Line destination called Celebration Key. Investigators are describing both events as drowning incidents. First, police say late Friday morning, a 79-year-old man became unresponsive while snorkeling at a beach. Then that afternoon, investigators say a 74-year-old woman who sailed on a different ship became unresponsive while swimming in a pool. Both times, a lifeguard gave assistance and CPR was administered, according to police. Celebration Key on Grand Bahama Island has only been open for weeks.
So regardless of the cruise line, if you're getting off the ship but going to the cruise line's private destination, they treat safety, security, medical personnel, all of that the same as if you were on the ship itself.
Absolutely. The number one aspect of the ships, of any ship's design, is safety. They are there to ensure that everybody aboard, passengers, crew, are as safe as possible.
In a statement, Carnival writing, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the guests and their families, and our care team is providing assistance." Now, investigators say autopsies will be performed on both victims to help determine their exact causes of death.
Now to the first state. It's the first hike in more than a decade. Drivers traveling along Route 1 in Delaware are now paying more at toll plazas. DelDOT increased rates starting this weekend for Delaware Easy Pass holders. Tolls at the Dover and Biddles plazas now charge $1.50 on weekdays and $4 on weekends. But drivers without Delaware Easy Pass, including cash users and out-of-state pass holders, will face even steeper increases. Their weekday tolls more than doubled to $2.50 each way, and weekend rates jump from $3 to $6. And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what do you think about the price hike on Delaware tolls? Let's take a look at the updated results. So far, necessary revenue at 37% is leading the way, and 33% saying hurts commuters, and 30% saying they're just too expensive. And if you haven't voted yet, you still can on our mobile app or on CoastTV.com. Coming up, a parkland purchase in Rehoboth Beach denied. Find out why next.
Well, Hurricane Erin is re-intensified back to a Category 4 hurricane as it passes the Turks and Caicos. It's really going to kick up the Atlantic big time this week. I'll have details of what it means for us here on Delmarva right after the break. Well, I hope everyone had an enjoyable weekend. It was a gorgeous weekend. We had temperatures in the 80s yesterday, 90 degrees today. Now we have some rain beginning to push over the peninsula. We're at 76 right now in Salisbury. Very muggy out there. We have some moderate rainfall right down Coastal Highway from Milford through Cave Colony all the way through Lewis, and now beginning to make its way to the short points. And we have some heavier cells moving through Smith's Island as well as Crisfield, and this is all pushing to the southeast, drying out in the back end of that storm as we see a cold front. It's going to be pushing through the area tonight, and it's going to kind of stall out across Virginia, and that's going to kind of leave us rather unsettled over the next few days. Not a complete washout, but a lot of clouds, and we're going to see that onshore flow begin to kick in. We're at 80 in Rehoboth, 77 Milton, 74 in Bridgeville, and 72 in Harrington. You can see dew points right now are generally in the lower 70s, so quite sticky out there. Now we have a rip current statement up for the Delaware coast. We have high rip currents beginning tomorrow, and the high rip current threat is basically going to be through the entirety of the week, and that is for the entire Delmarva coast. Seas are going to be getting more higher throughout the week. Wave heights are going to be getting higher. We have small craft advisories up through 6 a.m. Friday, and those extend all the way south into the southern portion of the peninsula. Shower activity is going to be ending over the next hour or so. We're going to be dry to start the day tomorrow, 69 to 74 overnight as those storms come to an end. We may see some sun early, but a lot of clouds tomorrow. Temperatures, I think, are going to really struggle to get to 80, especially across Delaware, as temperatures are only going to be at around 78 in Georgetown tomorrow with an east-northeast wind, 79 in Cambridge. If anyone sees the 80s tomorrow, it's going to be places like Crisfield, Princess Anne, Snow Hill, and places like Chincoteague. There you see the northeast wind. We'll see a few scattered showers begin to develop late in the day. Not a complete washout, but we're going to continue to see just kind of that east to northeasterly flow even into Tuesday with spotty showers and intermittent drizzle. And I think we'll see a bit more drier conditions as we go into Wednesday, and a bit more sunshine as well as we get back up into the lower 80s. But temperatures are going to be well below average for the next 5 days. Average high is 86. The latest on Hurricane Erin, fresh off the 11 p.m. advisory, back up to a Category 4, pushing perilously close to the Turks and Caicos, and this is going to push north now into a Category 3 by Tuesday, and then race off to the northeast. That is going to produce 6 to 12 foot waves. Waves are going to be getting higher each day this week. Life-threatening rip currents are going to be developing, as well as coastal flooding and beach erosion. The center is going to be well off the coast, about 500-600 miles, but there you see the wave action really kicking up, and the peak of those waves is going to be Thursday, where we could see waves as high as 10 to 12 feet. There's Futurecast showing Erin passing to our east on Thursday, and then we see high pressure build in by week's end. We are at 81 on Wednesday, and there you see the dangerous swells and rip currents. Best to just maybe stay out of the ocean Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then we're looking at temperatures in the lower 80s by next weekend.
Thank you, Chris. Looking good for next weekend. We'll keep that in mind. On your screen now is Lake Gerard Park in Rehoboth Beach, and that green pointer is where a private property owner that lives on Virginia Avenue wants to purchase just over 1,400 square feet of the park. And for the 1,400 square feet of land, the price tag is $540,000. The purchase would allow the property owner to make their lot exactly 5,000 square feet. A purchase would also allow their lot to be split into 2 separate parcels. And people CoastTV spoke with had mixed opinions on what this land could become.
I don't really understand the rhyme or reason. Probably the owners want to have a bigger backyard, but I doubt we get to visit their backyard.
I don't have a problem with somebody purchasing the land as long as it doesn't affect the ecosystem.
After 2 hours of presentations and public comment, city commissioners and the mayor unanimously voted to deny the purchase of this land. Rehoboth Beach officials said if they were to approve the purchase, it would go directly against the city's comprehensive plan. After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, a new study finds a record low number of Americans are drinking alcohol these days. Why? That is coming up. But first, from soccer to boxing, it's not humans, it's humanoids. Yes, you heard that right. The first ever World Robot Games are underway, and they've got some serious moves. We have that coming up next. Humane Animal Partners is offering free spay and neuter surgeries for cats at its Rehoboth Beach location in the Midway Plaza. The clinic is set for tomorrow, August 18th, and includes a free rabies vaccine if needed. And there are no income requirements to participate in this program, but it is by appointment only. And just in time for back-to-school season, Delaware's Division of Public Health is bringing health care right to your neighborhood. It's Health on Wheels, making care more accessible and convenient. Through its Community Health Services mobile unit, families can access free services including HIV testing, COVID-19 tests and vaccines, flu shots, diabetes and cholesterol screenings, blood pressure checks, and more. The unit also provides referrals and even opioid rescue kits. No appointment is needed and insurance is accepted, but not required. Translators are available, but remember, only one family can be inside at a time for privacy. And the Department of Human and Health Resources is establishing a task force for safer childhood vaccines. This comes after a lawsuit from an anti-vaccine advocacy group formerly led by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The task force will make recommendations on vaccine development, distribution, and monitoring. Vaccine experts are skeptical of the decision, saying vaccines are already studied extensively for safety and efficiency. A record low number of Americans are drinking alcohol these days. That's according to a new study from Gallup. They found just 54% of Americans say they consume alcohol at all. Among those who drink, a record low of 24% said they had a drink in the day, while 40% said it had been more than a week since they last had any alcohol. And for the first time, a majority of Americans say having even 1 or 2 drinks a day is bad for your health. In sports, if you want to call it sports, something many people consider a nightmare, the first ever humanoid robot Olympics. Humanoid Robot Olympics, you heard that right, is happening in Beijing. NBC's Janice Fryer shows us more than 500 robots from 16 countries, including the U.S., are competing in sports, soccer, and running and boxing.
There are no Olympic speed records being set here, but this event is being billed as the first of its kind. It's the World Humanoid Robotic Games here in Beijing. It's a 3-day event featuring more than 500 robots of all shapes, sizes, and structure. And they're squaring off in a range of sports, things like badminton, boxing, soccer, as well as a show of practical skills in industrial applications, hotel concierge services, even sorting prescription medicine. The games are meant to showcase how far robotics have come and to provide a window into the future where humanoids are more tightly integrated into your daily life. It also reveals how heavily China's government has been backing the development of these technologies to close the artificial intelligence gap with the United States. For years, Beijing has been funneling tens of billions of dollars into AI research and state subsidies, like it did with the electric vehicle industry, making all of this a very different kind of race.
After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, we take a look into Salisbury. Thankfully, no robots there, but after the break, we have a final check on your forecast. We are now just a few weeks away from the second annual Walk for Prostate Cancer. The event is put on by our very own Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams, who is a prostate cancer survivor himself. Saturday, September 13th at 10 a.m. is when the walk starts, with registration starting at 8 and 9 at Cape Penelope State Park. On site, there will be free, non-invasive testing. And now heading to sports, the Phillies are in Washington looking up to even the series up after losing 2-0 yesterday. Let's start out in the top of the first. Phillies looking to get going early, and Alec Boehm does exactly that. Sneaks one past the Nats third baseman. Boehm with his 42nd RBI of the year, and Boehm has a little more in store there. Phil's up 3-0. Alec Boehm says, let's make it 6-0. 3-run shot. That's Boehm's 9th home run of the season. Now moving, the Nationals aren't quite done. They get 2 in right there, and the throw just a little too late for the Phillies. The Nationals are fighting back 6-5 Nationals, and now we're going to move into where it's 6-6, and Weston Wilson puts that one into the gap. He scores 2 for the Phillies, and that makes it 8-6. The Phillies are up, and just when you think the Nationals are dead, they fight back. They're not going out without a bang. A 3-run shot from Paul DeYoung to make it 11-9, but the Phillies survive the Nationals' comeback, and tomorrow the Mariners are in town for a series against the Phils.
They are certainly pesky, those Nationals. We're seeing some rain push over the Delmarva Peninsula now. That's going to be ending over the next hour. A lot of clouds tomorrow. Temperatures struggling to get out of the 70s. And we're going to see a few scattered showers develop by the afternoon. We're coming down the wire here, Brandon. 18 days to the start of football. And you get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Alert weather phone. And your 10-day forecast shows temperatures staying below average for most of the week. And then we talk about those dangerous swells that are going to be really developing Tuesday and then really peaking as we go into Thursday with Hurricane Erin.
Hey, Chris, we're going to join us on this side of the desk now. We just talked about robot Olympics before the last break. What do you make of that?
That's interesting. I had to do a double take.
How do you qualify for robot Olympics? Can you give me that one?
We'll have
to do some more. Research on that.
And they're gonna. Then I'm sure all the betting apps are gonna get in on that too, right?
Probably. We know in Delaware. And each Friday you can share with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. It's full of features, cool things to do each weekend. Not quite the robot Olympics, but you can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday at newsletter coasttv.com/signup. And thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. We'll see you in just a few hours for Coast TV News Today, starting at 5 a.m. Have a great night.